Ticket number 16836, Pre-Startup Safety Review Checklist. For this ticket, we've created a pre-startup review audit workflow. So this workflow is extremely similar to the current SIS audit workflow in the FSA module. So if we now come to the FSA module, we come to the site level and we come to the audit overview template. If we click on add audit, we can add an audit ID. We'll go sprint audit, and then we can choose an audit type, either a pre-startup safety review or a SIS audit. So let's go with PSSR audit and click save. If we refresh SLM, we can see that this has created a background task, which is building the audit checklists. Once the background task is complete, we can come across and select our audit. And we can see we have a selection of tabs across the top here, which represent different templates in the workflow. So let's start with the self-assessment. We come down to the first checklist. Let's just change this to complete. That's now saved, so we can close this. Come to the participants template. We now come to introduction and summary. We can now select our checklists. As we select each tab, you'll notice we move one step further along in the workflow. We can see the self-assessment area has already been completed by this stage. So now we can do the FSA review. Interviews. Let's add the interviewer details, the interviewee details, we can now come and add any action items. We then come to the final report template, which is a summary of all the information we've entered. And from here we can print the report if required. Ticket number 16825, revision log not showing recent changes in the HAZOP. So the user has indicated that they modified the consequence and added a facilitator remark, and none of these changes are captured in the revision log. So direct links to these associated objects were not previously available, and the only way to view the revisions is by accessing each object directly and checking its revision history. So we've made changes to that and added some direct URLs. So if we come to the LOPA module and we come to a LOPA worksheet, if we come to the applicable values template, if we come to the initiating causes, if we make a change to the initiating event frequency and save those changes, we can now come to the short description, which is now a URL, and click on there. And we can now see the revision history for that object. If we just click on there, we can see the initiating event frequency has been changed from 0.1 to 0.3. Similarly, in the HAZOP module, if we come to a HAZOP study, come to the facilitation tab, we can see that the scenario ID is now a URL. If we scroll across, we can see that the barriers now have a URL to the specific object, so as you can review the revision history for those. And likewise with the facilitator comment, there's no comment there now, but let's just add one and we can see the original problem. Let's add a comment and click save. So if we close this window now and come to the revisions, we have no revision history for the comment that was added. So if we come back to the facilitation template again, and we scroll across, we can see that our comment is now a URL. If we click on the URL, we can now see the revision history for that object. We can see that for the comment, the previous value was no data, and now we have new comment 123. Ticket number 16818, scientific format request for mitigated event frequency column. So if we come to the LOPA module and we come to one of our barriers, on the summary template, if we scroll down, we can see that the mitigated event frequency column without IPLs are now in scientific format. Ticket number 16807, vertical scroll not working in update profile window. So if we come to SLM, we come to the update profile template. If we now make this window smaller, you can see that we now have a vertical scroll bar. Ticket number 16741, time zone issues. So in the CIF list and the test group report, the test group dates did not match the user's time zone and appear differently from those displayed within the test group. So now the changes have been made. If we come to operate and maintain, we come to the reports, we filter on CIFs, and there's CIF list and test groups. If we select our site and unit and generate the report, if we take this third row of the report, we can see that we have a last test date of July the 1st, 2019. Next test due date is June the 30th, 2020. So these two dates should be exactly the same in the test group. So if we open the test group, we can see that we have a last test date of July the 1st, 2019, and a next test due date of June the 30th, 2020. Ticket number 16717, improvement recommendation for diagnostic coverage field type. So we're going to allow the diagnostic coverage field type for the input, output and logic solver object types to include decimal values. Currently the field type is integer. So if we come to instrumented systems, come down to a CIF and come down to this input. If we scroll down to the input related silcalc parameters, we can see diagnostic coverage here, 85%. Let's just change that to 85.7. Save changes. Now scroll back down. We can see that it's saved as 85.7. If we come to a logic solver, again we come down to logic solver related silcalc parameters. We can see diagnostic coverage is currently 26.5. If we come to an output, we can see the diagnostic coverage in here is 94.7. Let's just change that to make sure the changes save. We can see the diagnostic coverage has saved as 94.2. Ticket number 16578, object ID display in function diagram objects show the full ID text. So if we come to instrumented systems, we come down to a CIF, Previously, in the function diagram, the object text would not be showing the full name. For example, this Beverly Hills refinery has dropped down onto the second line to show group 0043. Previously, we'd have just had 3 dots at the end here to show a continuation of the name. This obviously applies for the input voting group here, and the same can be seen for this input group.